Good morning and welcome. Picture Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. In case you missed it, Friday, gold crossed $2,500 to the ounce. Right now, sitting right above that, of course, TV gold would probably need to pay a little more attention to. It is the front month contract, the most traded contract right now, 25.40. Look out for 25.50. That's going to be one of those technical areas, and we'll keep an eye on that. If it breaches 25.50, right? Okay, now we got to talk about $2,600 and all of that stuff. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. It's a somewhat busy week. We're going to have Jackson Hole. Yes, all the billionaires and the bankers, they're going to be gathering out there in Wyoming on Thursday through Sunday. The big headline, reassessing the effectiveness and the transmission of monetary policy. Well, let me tell you guys, this is going to be a whole lot of fluff, because if you really want to reassess the effectiveness, I got a really simple idea. Go back to when we created this central bank. I know, that's crazy. Go all the way back to 1913 or maybe even 1933 when they took gold away from us. Right? Because remember why did they do it? Why was gold viewed as no good? Well, really simply put, the bankers wanted to create debt. Because that makes sense. Because how do banks make money? Very simple. By loaning it out, right? I mean, that's how they make money, right? And then you got to pay them interest. See, and they said it was just, the problem with the Great Depression, it wasn't all the bad things the banks did. No, of course not. No, they're just trying to help. They're just trying to help. Was if we could have just issued a lot more debt, everything would have been fine. Course, and then they decided in their brilliance, as they're quote-unquote reassessing, when they no longer allowed foreign governments to trade their treasury notes that they bought for gold. They closed, effectively what they called closing the gold window. Let's see, the debt then was $400 billion. Most of that was left over from World War II. And now, remember last week, they admitted that they have $43 trillion worth of debt. So I'm just wondering, just curious, how they're going to reassess the effectiveness of this policy. And, of course, don't worry, Jason, because inflation's going to come down, and we're probably going to talk about rate cuts and all the rest. By the way, Jay Powell doesn't talk till Friday, but on Wednesday we will get the Fed minutes. So, yeah, got to wait 2 weeks to hear what they talked about. So not a huge amount of economic data, but nonetheless, very important talking as they're, how much are they really going to I don't think they're reassessing anything. Matter of fact, that's why gold's $2,500. Let's reassess. It was $20. Okay? What? A little less than 100 years ago. Right? Today, you can't even sniff a $20 gold piece for less than $2,700. Spot gold in the ground, $2,500. I'm going to go with failing marks on the reassessment of monetary policy by these brilliant people. But don't worry, because everybody on TV will cheerlead them, won't they, Jason? They'll tell you what a great job they've done.
And as far as inflation being down, I just I don't see us staying down very long, Joe. We got some pain coming in. The government, we're just a couple of months away from the election. Nobody wants to spend or at least show in the news that they're spending. But I get the feeling no matter what the result of the election, the day after we'll have some huge spending package ready to be voted in because it's going to be spend, print. They probably are bursting at the seams waiting for this election to be over with so they can just start blowing money out in every direction. And then watch out for that inflation, Joe, which is not good. Even in their phony numbers, it's not a good number. 2.9 is not a good number, Joe. It's just not.
It's not a good number. It really isn't. But here's the thing that, Jason's talking about. We think it will be short-lived, especially if they throw rate cuts on this. And this is really all anybody cares about. Is Jay Powell going to at least give clearance that, yes, it's possible we can cut rates in September? That's all they're going to care about. But you got to remember, we're going to get a new president. Whether it's Kamala, however you pronounce her name, Trump, it doesn't matter. And both of them talking about, all the re-election or election promises. Don't tax tips. Don't tax Social Security payments, right? All of these spend, and promise. I think this is a really good recipe for why it is. So many people out there are like, hey, gold's just getting started. Most people are like, my gosh, gold's running out of steam. Nah. That's why everyone's saying, hey, talk to us at $3,000 gold, and we'll let you know when it's going to be $4,000 gold. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour on this Monday. I guess we'll call it the reassessing of Jackson Hole coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but Jay Powell going to be speaking Friday. So that's going to be, two big days this week will be Wednesday with the Fed minutes. We'll also get job revisions. That ought to be interesting, right? That ought to be really interesting. And then, of course, Powell on Friday, a quick look in at the markets. The Dow's up 190. The S&P's up 22. The Nasdaq's up 58 points. The 10-year note at 388. Crude oil's down a little bit. Gold, depending on where you look, right now, December gold up 320, 25.41. Spot gold right now down $4, 25.04, 2,504. Silver higher again today. So all of a sudden, silver shaking it off here, up 36 cents, $29.38. And again, you're getting an opportunity. You're running out of time. Get diversified. And I mean really diversified. Obviously, you already know you got to have gold and silver. I mean, minimum. And this is the hard part. Some people get mad because they can't do the minimum. I get it. You got to do what you can. You need an ounce of gold for every year you've been alive. Every year your wife's been alive, your kids been alive, the grandkids, the great-grandkids. You actually, you know what, you want to help out your family, that's what you should do. Right? And then when you pass, if you don't need it, if you're that lucky, you can get great way to transfer wealth in gold and silver. But I keep telling you about our friends over at Y-Refi. Why? Because you can get up to 10.25% fixed rate of return, not correlated to Wall Street. Now, Wall Street's been pretty good. It's not a lie. It's been pretty good. Right? I mean, we spent a buttload of money, so it should be, right? I mean, let's face it, we're going trillions of dollars into debt every year. I mean, that should happen. It's done pretty good. But all the signs of the bubble getting ready to burst are everywhere. We just don't know when. I don't know when. I wish I did. Then I wouldn't even have to come in. If I knew I know the exact day, minute, and time it's going to happen. Are you kidding me? I'd be on a yacht somewhere. I'll probably not. I don't like the water that much. I mean, I've gone on a cruise once, and that was enough. That was enough for me. But I'd be somewhere not as hot as Arizona. Let's just say that. I'd be right next to Zuckerberg somewhere in Hawaii with my bunker being built, right next to his. But I don't, and neither do you. But you know what's coming. 10.25% fixed rate of return, not correlated to Wall Street. Yeah, sign me up for that. Because we're at this phase now where we've done the whole debt thing for the last, 50 years. Really, since 1971. That is the only thing we've ever done. Have we ever run a budget surplus since we went off the gold standard completely? The answer, no. Sorry, Bill Clinton. How about a trade surplus? Kind of funny. Last trade surplus we had, it was either 1972 or 1973. So within 2 years of going off the gold standard officially, we'd never have run another trade surplus, never again. How did we become a superpower? How's China becoming a superpower? Oh, that's right, they run trade surpluses. You know when you can't run trade surpluses? When you devalue your currency so badly that you have to pay $50,000 a year just to be poor, right? I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Just to be poor. Check them out. If you've got $50,000 or more, look them up. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just make it simple. Just call them. 888-Y-REFI-24. 888-Y-REFI-24. Jason, we haven't done this in a while. But comparing gold to the stock market. And I know, listen, you can pick days that are really good for gold, and you can pick days that are really good for Wall Street, right? And when you compare them. But I think the fairest thing to do is obviously before 1933, the money was gold. So you really can't compare it. And the government kind of had said, hey, this much gold equals $20. But if Wall Street went up, I guess your gold went up, right? Because, if you cashed out, you got paid in gold. Then in 1933, they took the gold. Said, you know what? Can't have it anymore. Can't even own it unless you have collectible gold coins. Then they changed the price of gold to $35 and left it there. Couldn't change. When they finally closed the gold window, remember, we just had the anniversary last week. When Richard Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, they changed the price to $42. So I'm not even going to count the 35 to 42. But then they said gold can trade freely. Okay? Gold. Ready, set, go. The Dow was like 950 in August of 1971. Right now, the Dow is $40,845. Divide that by the 950. 42.99. You know what? Let's round it up. 43 times. So since 1971, August of 71, the Dow is up 43 times. Gold at 42, not 35. I could take 35, but I'm not gonna. Right now, gold's 25.04. By 42, 59 5.6. So almost 60 times. Tell me which one's better when you look at it from the day they allowed gold to trade freely. Jason Gold's been killed. Now, again, there's all kinds of different. If you take the high of the 1980 gold, right? Hey, Wall Street looks a lot better, right? You go to 2000, gold looks better. But, Jason, over this time, that's just what's happening. And that's a reflection on the central bank and what they're doing to the value of the dollar.
That's a lot. You covered a lot of ground. There's, I don't see any damage in your logic there, Joe. We are on the precipice of things happening, and every single thing we mention is good for gold. It's just good for gold. Joe, we were talking briefly this morning about how the markets being up and gold being up. Usually when the markets are up, gold at least just kind of goes sideways. But gold's not going sideways. It's going up. And the markets, and Joe, here's the thing. Nobody can predict this stuff. But we had a lot of inflation, okay? And I think we're due for a lot more inflation. I think this is going to be a regular part of life in the next decade especially. Now, if the stock market doesn't crash and go down a whole bunch, let's say the stock market just stays at, let's say it goes down a little bit and just stays at 39 or 38. Remember, since Biden came in office, it's 38,000 down, right, Joe? It's above that right now, but not by a lot. If the Dow just keeps going sideways and inflation just persists, that's your stock dollars not doing anything. And so, Joe, when we see gold going up, when we see stock going up, and then stock's not really going up. It's up a couple thousand points, the Dow. Now, the S&P's up pretty decent. The Nasdaq's up pretty decent. But we know if the AI stocks don't do well and there's a sell-off and gold continues to stay up, that's where you want – that just shows inflation. And look at the food prices, Joe. The food prices don't stop. Nobody really wants to talk about the food prices, do they? No. It's just one of the basic essentials for life. It's going up, right?
And they don't want to talk about the power bill either, right? Yeah, no, right? Don't talk about that.
If your assets are going sideways and everything else costs more, you are losing money. We have not had an inflative cycle like this since the 70s. I was a little kid, so I didn't pay attention to it. But if everything costs more and your investments are sideways, if your house goes up $2,000 this year, the house went up a couple grand, it's okay. No, it's not okay. When the price of everything else went up, your asset lost money. It's disguised. And, Joe, I think people aren't going to understand this. The Fed is going to attempt to inflate their way out of this mess, and it could take decades. And remember the new normal. Remember all that stuff they were saying around COVID? The new normal. You will own nothing to be happy. All this stuff. They know you're not going to be able to afford it. That's why they're going to put bugs in the fake meat and put bugs in the real meat and put bugs in all the other food, right? That's why they're going to do everything they can to help you with the inflation that we're facing. And we're selling you the thing that helps you with inflation. You got savings, you put it in this stuff, Joe.
And it's something where you remember, and I tell people this all the time. It's bad enough that they keep changing the rules when it comes to your money. Now, first of all, they tell you need to be in the stock market. Have to be. Which I don't disagree with. I don't. Right? Should be a part of your portfolio. They talk about the banks. Yeah, you can trust us, and we've got FDIC insurance. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, how much do you got? Well, we got like $100 billion. Well, I bank at J.P. Morgan Chase. They've got $3 trillion of insured deposits. How does that math work? Oh, well, don't worry. We've got some fine print over here. We told you about it in one of your statements a bunch of years ago. On the back of it, of course, we don't mail it anymore. It was an e-statement that you didn't even know. Could you even look at the back of an e-statement, right? I mean, but we told you. And what we said was, well, if that happens, when everything goes to crap and, we told you about the insurance. Well, you still have it. Still have it. But unfortunately, we may have to borrow your money for a little while. Now, it's still yours. I mean, it's really not yours, but we'll pretend it's still yours. But don't worry, we'll give you a piece of paper that says, and let's just say maybe you had $200,000 in there. And you had $200,000 in there this month, last month, the year before that, the year before that. Oh, they hate you. See, and I've said this all along. The people that keep large sums of money in the bank and never spend it, you're a bad person. You're a bad American. It's one thing for the hedge fund guys to do it because they spend it. They do. They may keep billions in there, but once a month, once a year, they're buying something. They're going to do something big. We got to make sure they're okay. Right. SIB, Silicon Valley Bank, right? That's how they got bailed out. When we get back, I'll remind you of what they plan on doing to you when we get back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason here on this Monday as we're apparently going to reassess monetary policy at Jackson Hole this week. They're not. But they're going to say they did. And gold sitting here at all-time record highs. We've got another great bubble here. The debt bubble keeps blowing. And what's next? Because we know it's a boom and bust cycle. Just what it is. I'd prefer it not to be, but that's what they wanted, right? We want to just create debt when things are bad. Well, when the debt goes bad, boom, bubble burst. And every time it bursts, it takes more people with it. And we talk about standard of living and all this other stuff. And every time they tighten the noose around the money that isn't yours. I know you think it is. It's not. You don't own the money that's in your bank account. You don't own the money that's in your money market account. Hell, you don't even own the money in your stock market account. You don't own it. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Period. Right? And it shouldn't be that hard for people to understand. Why do you have to initial everything and click OK and sign your name and date it? Why do you do that? You do that so legally, guess what? You don't own it. But you enter into a contract. See, the problem with these contracts is they get to change it anytime they want. And now technically, they have to notify you. See, but here's what they don't do. They don't call you up on the phone. They don't send you a letter in the mail. They don't send you an email saying rules have changed when it comes to the money you think you owe. No. Let's put it in the back in real small print on a bank statement and say, yeah, we told them. We told them. So right now, as the rules are written, one of these banks goes under, and of course we're learning now, right? There's 10 banks that are important, well, maybe 15. But even banks with just $100 billion was enough to take down the FDIC. You saw what happened with Silicon Valley. Right? What did they do? Oh, well, wait a minute. Wait. That's where all the billionaires keep their money. Well, we're going to keep them whole. But when it really happens, they're going to pick a number. It's got to be arbitrary. Let's call it $10,000. They like $10,000. I don't know why, but that's what they like. $10,000. If you got less than $10,000, maybe you'll be able to have access to it. But for those of you carrying large balances in your bank accounts, it's bad enough what I told you. Remember with last week's show? With USAA? Oh, whoops. Oh, we got hacked. The hackers got your all of your information from us. And now they've started stealing money out of accounts, but, we're reviewing it. We're reviewing it. We'll let you know. But right now, you have no money. Here's how it's going to work. They're going to pick a number. Maybe you got 100 grand. Maybe you have 200. Maybe you've had 250,000. You get right to the limit. And you think, yeah, I feel good. I'm comfortable. I like that. It makes me feel good every month. When they send me my statement, it says $250,000. Can you imagine if you had that 10 years ago? You would have been able to buy probably the average house free and clear, $250,000. Guess what today? $250,000. You ain't buying the average house free and clear, right? You're gonna end up mortgaging another $250 at least, right? If not more. Here in Arizona, it'd be lucky to get anything for $700 grand. Yeah, that's what they've done. But they're going to write you an IOU. That's what the rules state. Hey, maybe we're going to let you keep, 10%. You got 20 grand. I mean, you didn't really need it anyway. It's been sitting here for years, right? You're not using it. Here's an IOU. And at some point in the future, you'll be able to redeem it and get your money back. Of course, the problem will be, but wait a minute. I want my money now because I want to buy this stuff. Stuff's cheap. Oh, sorry, can't do that right now. Come back, call us later. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Maybe we won't call you or send you an email, but we'll put it on the back of one of the statements sometime in the future that you can have your money. How about what I don't understand, Jason, is people will think, well, you know what, maybe I'll use the same bank and I'll get a CD. I'll take the same bank and I'll put it into a money market with that bank. How dumb are you? You think these guys are dumb? And I don't mean that you guys are dumb. They're way smarter than us. They know all the tricks. Got money markets. That's even worse than having it in your bank account, if you can believe that or not. Yeah. Because the money market, guess what? They just flat out said, we'll take your money. Yeah. That's what it says. They can stop you from taking money out, just like the bank can. Hey, I'm going to take my money out of the bank. Sorry, it's a banking crisis. Can't do it. They can assess you a fee to get your money. Hey, you want your money? Oh, yeah, we'll take 20%. How about now? You still want it? No? Okay. Yeah. Right? Okay. Or, if it's really bad, and your money market account happens to break the buck, like it did in the financial crisis, by the way, they'll just be like, well, I don't know. Let's just say you put $100,000 in that money market account. Oh, it broke the buck. Hey, guess what? You don't have $100,000 anymore. Well, what do you mean I don't have $100,000? Well, it broke the buck. So now we got to issue more shares. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means you don't have $100,000 anymore. You only got $80,000 now. Well, let me get my money back. Well, sorry, right now we're not allowing that to happen. But call us next month, maybe. We don't know. Because if it breaks the buck again, well, maybe you'll only have 60. Those are the rules. Again, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Patriot Radio News Hour. Jason and I will be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday. Got gold over 2,500, but again, we're watching December gold right now. Right now it's at 2,542. 2550, kind of that level. If we break through it this week, right, 2600's that target. And then again, remember, if Jay Powell opens the door on Friday to rate cuts in September, and we get a rate cut in September, then we got to start looking at $2,700. And you understand how this goes. And Jason and I are kind of explaining, listen, they're getting ready to spend more money, right? That's the thing, right? They're getting ready because that's the only thing they know how to do. Today, I've got just under $120 gold pieces. I've got 25 Saints. I got about 73 $20 Liberties. It's all about price here. $2,695. So you're going to save $45 a coin right now. And you think about, Jason, we're talking about December gold here, going to be 2,550, right? 2,542, but breaks 2,550. The computers say buy it. I mean, this is crazy. How close to spot we're actually able to get right now. $20 gold, $2,695 at 800-951-0592. And I know the last thing probably upset some people. They don't want to believe what I'm telling them. They don't want to believe what banking laws are. Right? This isn't done in Congress. There's no vote. Listen, the money in bank accounts hasn't been yours since like the 1400s. Right? I mean, sorry, that's just the reality. But Jason, they keep changing the rules, don't they? And making sure that, hey, when the time comes, the people that are going to pay are going to be the depositors. That's how the system's set up.
Yeah, as you said earlier, they can change the rules whenever they want. In fact, the only rule I think you mentioned today on the air that makes sense is if you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's a rule. That's a rule they can't change unless they physically come to your house and take it from you. I mean, let me be clear. All these other assets that are held in some sort of place where you have to, your 401k or pensions or, IRAs and stocks and Bitcoin, yeah, I get Bitcoin. I get the idea of the way they sold Bitcoin. Bitcoin's stock. It's the same thing. I know that they try to pass it off as this renegade, rebel money. I dealt with it. I actually dove into it this year and learned all about it. The only way you can learn about it is just do it. And I messed with that stuff for the first 6 months of the year. And I come to find out it's just like all this other stuff, that if they want to tax it or hold it or move it or whatever, there ain't much you can do about it. And I'm not saying that they're going to take your stock or take your Bitcoin or anything of that nature, but they sure are going to tax it. And they sure are going to manipulate it. And if there's a freeze on the market, you're not going to be able to get yours out. The thing about gold is if there's a run on gold for some reason, let's just say gold's starting to drop. For some reason, we'll just say there's going to be a drop in gold. It's like, well, I should cash my stuff in. Well, in a similar situation, your Bitcoin, it'll just freeze up. Anyone been on Coinbase? When Coinbase just freezes up because there's too many transactions going on? How about the stock market when they just freeze it up? Oh, I'm sorry, you won't be able to sell your stock today. What about when the housing market goes bad? Is your broker, is your real estate agent, are those people going to be able to service you when things are going crazy? And Joe, we haven't seen crazy, but crazy could be coming very soon. If you hold it, you can do whatever you want with it, whenever you want to. One of the reasons you listeners are buying gold and silver, why you shouldn't be buying Bitcoin. If you're a Bitcoin or if you're a cryptocurrency expert, you'll make money doing that. If you're a stock market expert, you'll make money doing that. But you could probably make more money. The average guy could probably make more money being an area manager at McDonald's. Hey, you're the manager of 15 McDonald's regional. You can make a lot of money doing that. And by the way, they owe you the money. It's in the contract. They have to pay you for that work. Whereas you make the wrong move on Bitcoin or the stock market, you lose. So Why are you buying gold and silver? Because you can hold it. Nobody's going to have their hands on it. Nobody could freeze it. They can't stop you from using it. Joe, the only reason we don't sell paintings, because the wealthiest people in the world, they'll tell you there's three things for generational wealth. It's gold, it's art, and it's property. And unfortunately, property gets taxed for the average guy. I'm looking at Picasso paintings. Top Picasso painting ever. Sold for $179 million. I'm looking at it, and just like the average guy's, what is this? You look at it, it's like, what is that? I don't understand it. Picasso, there's only one Picasso. His paintings got popular. He could only paint so many paintings over his lifetime, so there's only so many of them, and once it became something that people wanted to buy, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I understand why it works, because they bought it, they hold it, they own it, and the people that bought it, they have $100 and something million painting in their home that they can liquidate and put at auction at any time. And they're not paying a yearly property tax on the thing. Right, Joe? So we're not going to sell you $1 million paintings or $20,000 paintings. We don't understand it. It's a lot pricier than a half ounce of gold or a roll of silver or something, Joe. But I understand paintings. I understand property, holding it, living in your house. It's a bit of a process to kick you out of your house. But, Joe, your gold and other possessions, those are yours. You control that, Joe.
Patriot Radio News Hour, $2,695. $20 Liberties and Saints. If you hold it, you own it. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Monday. Again, the fireworks won't show up till later this week as they're out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and waiting on when and how much rates are going to be cut and, the reassessing of our banking system. Just understand. They do reassess. And they're making sure. See, when the financial crisis happened, everybody was mad. People were mad. Banks got these bailouts. People were furious because guess what? The bank got bailed out, but you still lost your home. Bank got bailed out. You had to file bankruptcy. Right? Banks got bailed out. You lost your 401k. They didn't go to jail. They didn't go to prison. And you lost everything. Well, guess what? They heard you loud and clear. They heard you loud and clear. And they were like, you're right, that's not fair. The government shouldn't bail out the banks. The depositors sure. The depositors should bail them out. Think about this. How about the guys that, hey, I didn't lose my house. I didn't lose my job. I saw it happen to my neighbor. Saw it happen to my brother or my sister or my nephew, whatever it was. Saw it happen to my buddies. But I was okay. No, you're not. That's how they've set it up. That's how it's going. The debt will get paid. Now, I'm not talking about the national debt. That's not what I'm talking about. Talking about the banking debt will get paid. Make sure that you pay it with the least amount of your money possible. Put it into gold and put it into silver, and guess what? Then it's not in there to be taken. 800-951-0592. And Jason, it's hard. It's hard because we're a trusting people, right? And they've told us, right, that, this is the system. And listen, banking's a necessary evil. I've got bank accounts. You've got bank. You got to have a bank account. But you're the only one that can control how much exposure you're going to have. How much risk are you willing to assume? And right now, I'm telling you, it's getting really risky out there. Take some risk off.
I'd say, Joe, that if you're somebody that's never bought gold and silver, give us a call, and we'll get the questions answered, right, Joe? You can always set up an appointment. You don't have to buy to come and see us. I've talked to many people about gold and silver without physically purchasing them the first time they meet us. But to tell you the truth, once they sit down with us, Joe, the comfort level grows by the minute, and you start to understand it more and more. And if you've already bought, you should continue to be buying. You should be getting as much. You should be paying yourself first as much as you can, because in my mind, gold has always been savings. It's protected savings. That money that's in your checking account or your savings account in the bank, that's savings, but it's savings that loses value. Make sure you don't keep too much of that money in the bank for too long, because as Joe said, they could always shut you out of your account at some point. And by the way, they're taking it from you day after day. The inflation is just stealing it from you, Joe.
Well, don't worry. We only want to steal 2% a year, but sometimes we get it wrong and we steal 8 or 9. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the Half Empty Cup.